We all feel that we're lacking, right? So to be a human is to experience a sense of not having something. There's something that's missing. And that's experienced in two major ways. In our bodily enjoyments and in our language, in our mind. Mind and matter, body and mind. Language arises because of a failure, because things aren't satisfactory. In a way we speak because not just to communicate something, but also there's always a failure to communicate. That's why when you give a talk like this, I try to say everything, and then I come away as I didn't quite get it right, so I have to speak again. If I could say it all, then I would just walk away, right? I could write a book and it was all there, but every time you try and say something, it's missing. You can never fully communicate. There's always something that slips out that can't be grasped. And in our lives, desire is the affect that arises because you feel you're missing something. I can get a better job, I can have money, whatever it is. Desire is an affect that says you feel you lack. So as we speak and as we desire, these are evidences that we are not, walking around whole and complete. There's something we feel is missing. Now, there's basically two ways in which this is dealt with. There's religions of hedonism that say you can fulfill your desire, and there's religions of nihilism that say get rid of your desire. Right? Those are two attempts to find a solution to this dissatisfaction of being. You can satisfy your desire, or you can get rid of your desire. And LA has both up to 11. Because they're both really connected. So, there's a promise of wholeness and completeness just permeating this place, this promise of completeness. And at the same time, lots of spiritual practices where you go away and you try to get rid of your desire. Because in one sense, one feels, and so you do the other, and then that allows you to go back to that, and you kind of maybe oscillate between the two. So in this ideas, we try to get rid of this sense of dissatisfaction that we have. And traditionally, you've got like two visions for this. One is God is whole and complete, but we're not. And that's the way it is, and maybe when we get to heaven it will be different, but in this life, we have to deal with that. God's whole and complete and we're not. There's the Lord and the lady up there, they've got it all. We're all in the dirt together. This, by the way, creates real social solidarity, because when you're with the other and we're all in the dirt together, there's less jealousies and envies. You grow up in the same village, you die in the same village, and then eventually, you overwhelm the Lord and the lady or whatever. But there's a sense in which we're all lacking. That's kind of feudalism. The contemporary age that we live in is the idea that the big other, or God or whatever, is not lacking, and we don't have to lack either. So in contemporary society, there's this idea of seize the day, be an entrepreneur of the self. You can be all that you can be. You can have the Maserati. You can have the thing that will make you whole and complete. And you're surrounded by images of people who seem to have that. Right? This generates a fragmentation of social solidarity, because there's jealousies and envy start to arise because you're surrounded by all these people who seem to lack the lack. Right? So in the first, we all lack, but there's some other who doesn't. In this other vision, there's a way of becoming like the big other, of lacking the lack. We can all do that, which creates so much anxiety, burnout, fatigue. You're condemned not by this voice that says you should be nicer to your mum. You're actually more condemned by thinking, I'm not having enough fun, enough sex, enough relationships, enough whatever. You're condemned by fear of missing out. It feels like, and that again, we all, I think, can feel that sense. So what's the third possibility? The third possibility is that you're lacking, and so is the absolute. Right? And this is what this third position looks like. And this brings us to the joke of Christianity. Now, it's a joke, not so much because it's funny, it kind of is funny, is imagine someone goes into a church and they are distraught and they are crying and they pray and they say, I want to be one with you, but I am lonely and I am lost and I am in despair. What should I do? And then this person hears the voice of God saying, my child, now in your despair and in your alienation and in your loneliness, there you're one with me. So it's interesting because you come here to, in a sense, get the thing that will get rid of your lack. And yet, what you get in a space like this is your lack redoubled back to yourself, where the absolute says, I know what it's like. I have alienation as well. So whenever Christ says, I don't know, this is a way of saying that there is a type of asymmetry or non-deterministic kernel to reality itself. And we can look at that in various ways in biology and physics and chemistry and in politics. Gödel's incompleteness theory, and et cetera, et cetera. But you could say that in Christianity, my God, why have you forsaken me? Is that writ large? The idea that you're identifying with an alienated Christ, Christ crucified, who experiences this fundamental anxiety and lack. And it's weird because this is so not what you want, right? It's like when you go to psychoanalysis and you want the person to help you to get rid of your symptoms, to bring that person back that you lost. And then over time you realize the analyst can't do that, and you have to live with that suffering. You have to live with that pain. If the analyst told you that at the beginning, you wouldn't go, because you go, I'm not going to waste my money. You don't go out and do retail therapy. I'm going to waste my money for you to tell me there is no cure, right? So the analyst doesn't do that. In one sense, you're there because you believe that you can get rid of the lack. And then the emancipatory moment is when you realize, oh, hold on, we're all lacking. There is a wound to being human. There is the traumas that happen to you, and they're all different, and some of those are worse than others. But even if you've had the perfect life, there is the wound that is you. So then there's the traumas that happen to you, and there is the trauma that is you, the trauma that is being itself. At first you go, I don't want to know that the other is alienated as well. I want the other to make me whole. Just like in dating apps, you want to find someone who completes you, makes you whole and complete. You don't want someone who's just as broken and rubbish as you. That sounds awful, right? So you want someone who'll fill the lack, make you complete. But love arises precisely when you encounter and realize, well, the other is lacking just like you. And there's something actually, this is the joke, because that's counterintuitive. You think realizing that would be horrible. And yet, realizing that somehow brings relief. Like in a joke, the laughter, the relief of the laughter, there's like this, like I remember with Rob Bell, I first meet Rob, and he's selling all these books, he's got this great life, and I'm so happy for you, Rob, and these are tears of joy. Like, I'm really happy because life is working out so well for you. I mean, my book, it's sold a few dozen, I don't care. It's not about the numbers, it's never about the numbers till you have them, It's not about the numbers, But then I'm, talking to him, and I realize, he's also struggling with things. He burnt out. We just did a podcast, which hopefully will come out next week. Listen, he talks about being burnt out at the height of his success, where he went to the doctor and said, your adrenaline's burnt out. There's certain areas of your brain that are just fried. This was not at the height of his despair, it was at the height of seemingly the success, and had to drop out, had to disappear from this. I mean, some of you have heard me say, I think I said this last time I was in LA, some of you were there, but I feel like, life it's like a party, and in LA especially, there's a party going and everybody's having a good time. You can pretend you're having fun, but it's always good to have a place where you can go and be miserable, right? It's the bathroom. You go to the bathroom after you cry, right? And then you go back out and you pretend you're happy, right? But in LA, you can't do that, because even in the bathroom, they're all doing Molly, right? There's nowhere you can go to escape the tyranny of happiness, right? You can nowhere to go to just be miserable. And this is miserable and anonymous, right? It's great to be free to pursue your happiness, but we also need freedom from the pursuit of happiness, right? And that's a much more radical in a way. And secretly, this is just for an hour, that we can be freed from the pursuit of happiness. We can be miserable together. And the weird thing is, at precisely that moment, you find you're less miserable. Whenever Rob tells me about the struggles he was having, it actually makes me feel lighter. Somehow, not him being great and wonderful, maybe he'll make me great and wonderful. The moment when he is able to share his vulnerability, his lack, my lack becomes easier to bear. The load is lightened, it's robbed of its sting. And so this emancipatory moment when you go in to, say, church and you go, I want to get rid of this lack, and then you're confronted with going, you know what, lack and unknowing and ambiguity and impossibility and struggle is woven into the very fabric of everything. If you got rid of that, you wouldn't be happy. You'd be a zombie. Like, here's an example. If we're all lacking, let's just do an if this is true, that we're all wounded by being, that to become a subject is to kind of feel yourself losing something, right? Oh, and by the way, one of the things they talk about in some forms of analysis is the first separation is with, say, the mother-other, where you feel, oh, I'm no longer my mother's womb, or my mother's breast, I'm no longer contained by that oneness. So it's not really possible to talk about a mother without the child, or the child without the mother. They're so fused in a sense. But then this alienation occurs, and the infant feels themselves separate. Now, it's not that they lost oneness. They came into being through it. There's no I without thou, no inside without outside. So your very coming into being is being marked by a loss. And then one way of overcoming that experience is not to reunite with the mother-other. That's a failed strategy, a strategy that is technically called perversion. It's a failed strategy. What you discover is you can't reconcile with the mother-other because they're not reconciled with themselves. You know, that song Gina sang, which I love, separated from yourself. It's a beautiful song. But it's like, oh, I can't make the other complete because they've got multiple desires. They're caught up in various different, they don't even know what they want. And so now I'm bound together not by a shared identity, but by a shared sense of we're both lacking. We're both lacking together. That's where the social bond is, that's where the connection is. A symptom is the shape that your lack takes. A symptom is something that overwhelms you. You can't get a hold of, even if you're aware of it. It seems to be something that is almost a machine that's going on in your life. You can't get a grip of it. And there's, in psychoanalysis, the idea that you get some enjoyment out of it, but also some suffering. So in this situation, someone's like, I always find myself in chaos, in chaotic situations. It's a symptom that keeps repeating in their lives. And then maybe, as I talk to them, I realize, oh, when they were young, the only way they felt love is when they were in a chaotic situation. That's when they got the attention of the parent. And so they feel this lack, which we all do because there's that separation. But the shape that took for this person is I throw myself into chaos and I get rescued, and that's how I then feel that love. Now, they've forgotten that. That's another reason I said it's not conscious, they're not conscious of it, but it's playing, it's unconscious. It's a monument to a forgotten truth. So I see that playing out. So we have these symptoms, and they touch on a deep truth. And the problem with symptoms is they just don't work. So the person who puts themselves into chaos all the time doesn't really achieve what it's attempting to achieve, right? So we all have these symptoms that are evidence of the shape of the lack that we have.